So what's up, everybody? Another episode of Slightly More podcast. Obviously, Shane Patrick Cruz,
I'm Chris Michael.
Chris Michael. We just got off we're about halfway through the weekend now. You had a show in, we're two shows in Northern Virginia yesterday.
Yeah, one in Chantilly, one in
Alexandria,
which
is where we are now.
Yeah.
We're at the beautiful 10-star Holiday Inn Resort
Yes.
Casino in Alexandria, Virginia. Let's talk about, because you and I have been having a lot of discussions on this personally, about the balance between business and relationships. This is a podcast we've been wanting to get into for a while.
Yeah.
And it's something that both of us have dealt with from a business standpoint. So let's get into it. Is there anything right off the bat that here's kind of the general context, right? And anybody, it's not just people that are performers or in business, it's anybody that's just super busy. They're either super busy with their career or pursuing something or whatever it is, right? They travel all the time for some reason. And it's just hard to maintain. How do you maintain that lifestyle and also have not only relationships, but healthy relationships on top of that?
Yeah.
So the reason, I personally dealt with it, and we're going to get into it a little bit, but I wanted to specifically ask you about it because I know that you had told me one time, because I had asked you, how are you, when you were in school, so you were a full-time student,
Yeah.
full-time job,
Yeah.
full-time career, and you said you made a comment to me one time that said, and believe it, on top of all of that, I still had great relationships with people.
Yeah, that to me, that's the thing I'm the most proud of, because you can manage having a career and being a student and then also working a separate full-time job. To me, I can wrap my mind around those things, but that's because they're all self-driven. You're all doing that on your own as an individual. When you start involving other people's schedules into that and still trying to maintain relationships with people who are almost equally as busy as you,
Yeah.
and maybe even if they're not, that makes it a lot more difficult. So to me, that was always the most proud thing for me, was just like, hey, I can still see my friends, my family, and be in a relationship while maintaining all this, which to me is kind of like what my life is all about. It's about the friends and family and loved ones around you, and the work and the school and all that stuff is just a means to being able to support those relationships even better. But sometimes you're in the thick of it, right? You got to set it up and lay your foundation so that in the future you'll be able to support those things. But I feel like I was pretty good at it all throughout.
Well, see, that was one of the issues that I had in my own relationships, where you get into these relationships, and I'm not talking about like friendship relationships. I'm talking about like romantic relationships mainly. But you get into these relationships and you tell the other person, hey, listen, to say that I am extremely busy is an understatement, and you pretty much always get the same response, which is, oh yeah, that's no worries. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure we'll find time. But
Yeah.
then when they realize you don't actually really have time, it becomes quite difficult. So, I experienced this in my own relationship recently. We were together for almost 2 years, and incredible relationship, incredible woman. Yet it was extremely hard to make this decision of, starting my media company back up, and basically almost having to decide between the two. And this is something that we can get into, because if you talk about work-life balance,
Yeah. Which is something I'm obsessed with right now.
yeah,
Thinking about that.
if you talk about work-life balance, my initial thought on work-life balance is that it's not necessarily work-life balance, because your life is your life is your work, and vice versa. Your work is your life, and so there really isn't a balance. They're just both one and the same.
Yeah, it's how you integrate it.
Right, and so it's hard to maintain. It's hard to maintain both and have them both be successful.
Yeah. Something that I think about a lot is, one thing I was laughing when you said the whole when you're interested in somebody or they're interested in you, and you have to say, I want you to know, like, if I am willing to do this, but I am incredibly busy.
Yeah.
And they'll say, yeah, that's no problem, and then it always is a problem.
It is.
Because for me personally, and I can speak towards Shane too, now that he travels with me. I mean, sometimes I'm in 5 states in a weekend, and then in the summertime I'm gone for 8 weeks. And also, there in the job that I'm in, there are people who crave and sometimes even demand my attention, right? So like,
Yeah.
my career is based on essentially you guys who listen to this stuff and watch these videos, go see my shows live, really, which was what my biggest following is, the live shows, right? Like my social media, I feel like doesn't reflect that. When I'm
Yeah.
at these shows, that's the one chance people get to see me and interact with me. I have to make those impressions on people.
Yeah.
So now I'm giving them my time and I'm messaging those people and taking pictures with them. And that's all time that really I could be spending focusing on a relationship. But, you know, in a way, that's all part of my job. So
Well, it's also the understanding of that other person saying, "Why haven't I heard from you in 3 hours? You know, I texted you. Why haven't you texted me back?" Like,
yeah.
do you not understand? Like, I'm working. Like,
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of doing something. So
Yeah.
it's not that I don't value your time. It's actually that I value your time more. But I also value my client's time. And so when I'm with my client, I want to give my full attention to the client. And
Right.
also when I'm working, I am very easily distracted.
Yeah, I'm
So
definitely too.
when I almost feel bad about about like turning my phone off, because I'm like, oh gosh, what if something comes through? But
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where I literally have to like put it on silent and like turn it face down, because I can easily get distracted. And so it's the same thing in work. You know, they're like, well, why haven't I heard from you? And why aren't you answering my phone calls? Well, I'm in the middle of working. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just really hard. I mean, and for me too, this has actually changed for me recently in the past year. So my view on the balance between work and pursuing relationships, it used to be when I very first started my media company that I was very much the mindset of I need to have just as much personal time as I do pursuing and building this business.
That's
That has
dangerous.
actually changed because now I actually am more focused on the business than I am on personal relationships, because the way I see it, and not everybody is like this. Don't think that just because I'm saying that this is the way I am, that this is the way that I think everybody needs to be as a blanket statement. That's not true. So the way I look at it now is I am going to work like crazy, grind like crazy for like 3 to 5 years so that I can then have the time to do whatever I want and go wherever I want and focus, you know, a lot on a relationship. And so that's kind of the way I think about it now. It's the relationship is not even secondary. It's like
For
you
me,
know, tertiary. I mean, it's like
for me, it's up there because that's something that's important to me. And what? So you went in many different directions on that. So let
I
me
know.
speak to a few
Sorry, I'm
things.
like all over the place.
So one thing that I think you said is talking about it's 3 hours and you haven't texted me back. Well, that's just a trust thing, right? Like find somebody who doesn't need that amount of attention, and you know people who you really have strong bonds with really don't anyway. Maybe in the beginning it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Because you do want to like you're
Yeah.
infatuated and you want to text them all the
Right,
time and
yeah.
talk to them all the time. But sometimes it's not even 3 hours. It's that's an understatement because
Yeah.
there's times when I've gone a week without being able to talk to my significant other, or 3 right now like I'm interested in somebody and I go pretty much Friday to Sunday without really being able to talk to them. But also I'm with I tend to associate with people who trust me as a person. And I think luckily this content comes out and they're like, oh yeah, he is working, so
Yeah.
that helps. But no, like don't if somebody doesn't trust you enough to be on the road, that's just a person you shouldn't be with anyway, because they're going to complicate things even more so than your time, right?
Yeah.
There's certain traits that they're going to have that will affect other areas of your life. So I'm not going to dive in deep into that. I do want to talk about a few things of like when you're on the road, here are some things that you can do to make it easier, because there's obviously a lot of challenges, and this depends on what your love languages are, the type of person that you're with,
Right.
what you guys have decided is fair and not fair. And hey, there are some people where maybe relationships like Shane, for you, is not up there on the hierarchy. For me, it is. That's just the type of person I am. I think I'm like a hopeless romantic. So, and those are the things that drive me to do well in my business, is like having somebody to share that with, right?
Yeah, that's a big thing for me too. I actually talked about this. You and I talked about this yesterday, where I mentioned to you that was one of the things that I actually missed the most. I mean, if I'm completely honest,
Yeah.
is having someone to like vent to and talk to and get
Yeah.
ideas from, and just like a support system, really.
Yeah.
Someone that you love and they love you back, and you have that grounded support system with them.
Yeah.
That actually I do miss.
And I'm sure people can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so here's some systems to keep that in place, right? One is be really open about communication. Nobody likes people who don't communicate openly and effectively about what your needs are. So Shane, like in your past relationship, I'm sure even though you communicated it, there was just, it wasn't agreed upon. But saying like, hey, I'm going to be open with you that I am extremely busy. Let me tell you what that means instead of letting it be a surprise.
Yeah.
My schedule typically, and as performers, we don't have typical schedules, but do your best that you can to communicate it. Like, I have to be open and say, hey, on the weekends, I'm like going to be never available. So, hey, if there's anything you ever want to do on the weekends, let's try to sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I'm booked every weekend probably for the rest of my life. There's nothing I can do about that. Being open about that and finding people who are okay with compromise, right? Like, hey, but if you're interested in doing, things during the week and your job allows, like maybe we can, I can catch you in between lunch during your work hours because I don't tend to be out as much during the week.
Yeah.
Hey, I travel I travel a lot. Like, if you're willing, come travel with me. Like, if you have a job that allows you to work on your own and do that, come travel with me. I love that and support that. Not everybody's at liberty to do that, but these are just a couple of ideas that you can have to just make things a little bit more streamlined. The other thing is, I really think it's a matter of finding the right person for your life as an entertainer.
Yeah.
Somebody who trusts you, somebody who's flexible, and somebody who doesn't need your constant attention. And also somebody, and this is silly to say, but I think it's important to mention, somebody who doesn't get easily jealous, because as a performer, you are going to have people that are wanting to take a lot of your time. People who are really wanting your attention, and some people are attracted.
Right. Keep going with that thought.
Some people are just attracted to performers.
Right.
There's like a certain thing with like being powerful and on stage and like being like the VIP guy that everybody tends to want to cling to, and that goes
Plus,
for
us as performers, we're naturally
more charismatic.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm a lady killer or anything like that. I'm just saying that psychologically people tend to be drawn to those people a little bit more. If you and your heart as a performer give into that, well, then that's going to be a problem for relationships in general, right? Maybe then you just need to be free-spirited and allowed to do whatever you want. So I got friends who just can't resist, man. They're in relationships, and when they get this attention, they don't know how to respond to. For me, I'm a little bit naive. I think I just kind of I don't really pick up on it. I just let it go and just oh, they were really nice, But other people that I've been with in the past have been jealous about that. So just finding somebody who fits the needs of what an entertainer needs. I know that this is a little all over the place, but I'm just gonna hit them again. So trust, the willingness to work around a busy schedule, and somebody who's not easily jealous, and understands that your job is literally to get attention on you.
Yeah.
These are things that will definitely help you if you know going into a relationship.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Also, too, the last thing I want to say about it is, let them know that it's by you telling them that you are busy and there's not going to be a whole lot of time that you can spend with them or talk to them. Also, let them know that that doesn't mean that you don't value them and value your time. If anything, you value it more, because you have less of it.
Yeah.
So it means that much more.
It really does.
So, in my past relationship, I tried telling her, hey, listen, I'm not busy for me. Like, I'm not grinding for me.
Yeah.
I'm grinding for us.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, I feel that.
You think that it's me because you think that I'm grinding for me.
Yeah.
And that's partly true, but that's not the full truth.
Yeah.
The full truth is I'm doing this. I am unfortunately sacrificing time between the two of us so that we can have more time together later on in life. Unfortunately, that might look like 3 years or 5 years, but I guarantee you that at the end, it'll be worth it. You just have to be willing to be patient and understanding. Communication, like I said, is like you were saying, is a really big one. But also just being patient, number one.
Yeah, that's a big
and
one.
being understanding of the other one's needs
and also
and expectations.
Being willing to put in the extra work to make it work. If this is a topic that you're interested in and you're not willing to, like, for instance, for me, I drive 2 hours up to Washington, D.C. to see somebody that I'm interested in every
Yeah.
week on a day I have no business being in Washington, D.C. and coming down all the way back down that night because that's, I understand that it's not fair for them to have to not have me available for them,
Yeah.
during the weekends or during the week when I'm working. Like, I'm so sparsely available for them that if I'm not willing to put in the extra work to like make up for that, well then what does the relationship look like? Like,
Yeah.
why am I taking and then never giving, right? So like, be
Yeah.
willing to take that extra drive. Be willing to put in that extra time when you're tired, and like, you know what I mean. If this person means something to you, then you still have to communicate that and show them. I mean, a lot of these rules are just rules that go for relationships across the board. But like, if you're not willing to put in the effort and time, and I hear this all the time from performers, they say, "Oh, but after my shows, I just get so tired," or "Oh, my weeks are so busy that I really value my downtime."
Yeah.
And hey, well, maybe find somebody that you value more than that. And if you haven't found that yet, maybe just keep doing your own thing.
Do you think, here's something I think about a lot too, and get your thoughts on it. Do you think, when you think about your the type of person your partner is or someone that you're interested in, do you think that it's better if they're someone who has like a regular job and has no intention to be in a position of a performer or a business owner, or someone's just kind of your typical person, right, who's just works a 9 to 5? Or do you feel it works better with someone who is also very I was going to say driven, but not to say people in jobs aren't driven, because they definitely are. But
yeah, like,
do you get what I'm saying?
pursuing a
So it's like someone who's also is just as busy as you.
Yeah.
Or because that was one of the things in my past relationship too. She was also very busy. And so not only am I busy, now she's busy too, which makes it
Yeah.
even harder to have a relationship. Not just,
Right.
I think about that a lot. What type of person.
Yeah.
Also, the understanding too. Someone that's busy also understands that you're busy.
I do
You know what
appreciate
I mean?
that, but I think that, and that's actually
Not to say that everyone that's not busy can't understand your situation.
I understand that.
Yeah.
No, I do appreciate somebody who's been busy and understands what it's like to not be able to respond to people, or like to, because the truth of the matter is that, yeah, I'm working and like pursuing my passion and doing magic for people, and I'm blowing minds and having a great time. But in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking like, man, I wish I could just like be with this person right now, or like I wish I could be at home with my friends and family.
Yeah.
These are things that I do, like, of course I think about, right? Like, it's not like I'm up here, doing things that I prefer to do. In some cases that's true, but a lot of the time, like, at the end of the day, it is a job for me. And so, as long as they understand that I'm not out here like having fun without them and like leaving them out intentionally.
Yeah.
But somebody who's busy, I think, understands a little bit more. For me
Yeah.
personally though, and I've actually never really even put thought into this, I think I prefer somebody who's not as busy as I am,
I do
because
too, actually.
that support, then
Yes.
and this is 100% a selfish thing, and I'm starting to realize this, but I like somebody who can support me and share my passion with me. But if they have something that they're equally passionate about and they don't really care about what I'm doing because they have to focus on their thing, I'm not in a position where I can give and care and share about whatever they're pursuing.
Yeah.
And I know they probably won't be about me, so it'd be a very like separate entities, because integration for me is super important. How can I get somebody who does not live in the world of performers and entertainment and integrate them into that? And so maybe that's taking them on tour with me and traveling. Hey, maybe that's having them do photo shoots for me. Like, that's kind of my current situation. Maybe that's somebody who understands the business side of things, who sort of does some, administrative work on your end while you're on the road.
That's
like,
somebody that I figured out that's who I would like to have.
I'm not saying you have to hire them. I'm not saying
Right.
hire employees and then
Date 'em.
have children. But but I'm saying like find people who are willing to be a part of it and are excited about it. Not like, oh, I have to do this for him because this is what he wants.
Yeah.
No, like, find somebody who's excited about it, because there are people out there that are like, whoa, I get to come with you to your shows, and like, oh, I
Yeah.
love taking pictures for this, and like, man, it's so cool watching you build your career and support
Yeah.
that. Find those people, because those people to me, like, I just like people who understand what I'm doing, like on a deeper level than more than just I'm doing magic shows. They're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this is a guy who's changing lives and touching
Yeah.
companies and doing marketing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of this even made sense, but this is all coming straight out of my heart in an unfiltered, otherwise unthought of way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. Anything else?
I did have some touch points I wanted to get to. One being, it's easier now because of technology, right? Like when you're driving, there's nothing stopping you from calling that person, having a conversation, unless
Right.
it's their schedule. Take little times that when you're at the hotel, maybe Skype them and say hello. And remember, something that I found incredibly useful is it doesn't have to be a lot of time, right? It doesn't have to be hours of your day every single time. Literally a 5-minute phone call throughout the day makes all the difference. And scheduling and routining is super important, meaning like if you can come up with a routine like, hey, every night at 8, I'll give you a call if I'm available, and if I'm not available, I'll call you later. Just maybe setting up that one phone call a day gives you something to look forward to and keeps things moving. It's kind of like a through line in a show. It's something to tie everything together. So if you have that one little thing that's a routine for you guys, and you can really be disciplined enough to keep it, I found that helps a lot.
Yeah. It maybe even too like, hey, listen, once a month, this day during the month is our day.
Once a month. I'm not like that.
No,
Actually,
like to go out and do
Oh,
something
yeah,
big
yeah,
and
yeah.
like that sort of thing.
I know a lot of performers who do that, or like they'll take Sunday for their family, right?
Right,
Because
right,
maybe
right.
this isn't a relationship thing for you. Maybe it's just
The family thing, yeah.
a family thing. Which
Yeah.
I'm young, so I don't have a family yet. Luckily, I still have my little brothers, and actually that's something that is an emotional topic for me. Is like, man, I love my little brothers. I think more than anything, man. My mom remarried 10 years after I was born.
Yeah.
And well, she didn't remarry; she just got married, and had kids with someone else. And my stepdad is an incredible man, and I care about my brothers so much, and they're so interested in what I'm doing, and like they look up to me. And I'm just never around, and it's like I hope they don't think that I don't want to be around. I just literally like I'm grinding away out here. I don't know, like
It's tough, man, because on that specific, like my mom, she had leukemia back in, when was it? 2015. She got it right as I was starting my first media company.
oh,
And so,
okay.
it's one of those things now, it's really tough to think about because I remember having to like tell her like, I'm sorry I can't come that much because I'm out here building this business. But once again, I was building the business because part of the reason of building that business was to make enough money to cover medical bills for her. That was like one of my reasons for doing the business.
Yeah.
But it's really tough because when she passed away in 2016, actually this time, like literally this time, 3 years ago, it was really tough to have to come to grips with that. Of, man, I chose the business over own family. But
Man, I feel like that a lot actually. Hey, one more thing that I wanted to mention too, because I said there were a few things. And actually, I can just feel it in my bones. This is a topic that's going to be revisited, and maybe in a more like organized way. But I think it's good for me to at least get these thoughts going, and
Yeah.
at least like maybe just put this out there into the ether for you guys, and see what works for you, and what have you found. And like, I genuinely, this isn't like a marketing like, hey, we want engagement, so comment. I genuinely ask people in my daily life and want to read from the internet what this gets posted on LinkedIn, right? So who has a job that's not in entertainment, that is incredibly busy and travels a lot? What do you do to maintain healthy relationships?
yeah,
Another issue that I think comes up a lot is this aspect of like, as a performer, hopefully, and I'm not sure this isn't for all performers, but you make pretty good money, right?
yeah,
And I am usually, with people who aren't making as much money. And so I like to have that time, like that one day a week where it's like, hey, I don't get to see you often. Let's go do this. And usually the things that I want to do require a little bit of money. And I recognize and understand that it's hard for people to like feel okay with me spending money on them. And it can feel a little like gross, I guess, sometimes to like just have everything paid for. But for me, it's like I don't mind at all, because I'm working. I'm literally doing all this work to like be able to do those
Yeah.
fun things once a week. Like I'm living for that day
Yeah.
in the week. So, and actually, I'm living for my job too. Like I genuinely love my job, and like every day is so much fun for me. But it's cool to have that little break in between. And so, I don't mind spending the money to do something cool and interesting and try something new. I just like, that's something else that I'm curious about, is like I need to find a way to navigate that to make it more even. Of like, hey, you don't feel comfortable with me being the only one that spends money, like, but also I'm earning this money so we can do fun things.
yeah.
I don't know, that's a topic that's sticky for me, that's like, I need some thoughts and ideas on that, and like,
Yeah.
what do you prefer? And
I don't know.
yeah, does
I
that
just started making money, so
like
I don't know what that's like yet.
to be 20, well, I'm about to be 22 tomorrow, but to be 22 and making the amount of money that I make, it's like
Yeah.
a lot of people that are my age, which are I pursue people my own age because I'm not weird. And
But wait. What do you mean? Stop. All right.
I realize a lot of people out there.
He
just
wasn't
like,
saying that about me, but still, it's like you're not weird if you date people.
You're not.
You know.
You're not. You're not. You're not at all. That's a normal thing. Age is but a number. But man,
Unless it's under 18. But then again,
yeah. So a lot of people my age typically don't make the amount of money that I make, so it's super unequal. And
Yeah.
that's something for me that I don't really know how to navigate and manage, and I guess I'm still trying to look for advice on, and just putting it out there in the ether. What advice do you guys have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No,
I
this
think
was
that's it.
therapy for me.
Cheers.